This may not be a big deal to you guys, but I was super hyped about this capability, so it's kind of a big letdown to me. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Audio Inside Scoop. Today we're going to continue diving down the comparison between the latest generational gap between the latest portables on Marshall's end and their predecessors. After the last compare between the Willens, I'm even more excited to dive into the Embertons. That was an interesting compare for sure, and I almost was kind of a bit blindsided by some of the things that we found out. Check it out if you have not seen it already, but for now I'm excited to see where they take it with the Emberton 2 versus the Emberton 3. Now I already have the second gen out of the box. Let's break out the third gen and see what they look like side by side. Okay, we are out of the box, and first glance, they look super similar. Like I said in the Willen video, I wasn't expecting a ground up redesign, but I wasn't expecting to leave and come back and forget which is which. With that said, there are some changes to the exterior to take note of. First thing that I noticed was the buttons. So this revamp has added a dedicated power button, as opposed to having the power button be part of the rocker knob thing. I would say that this adds to the ease of use category, as the process will be a bit easier to those new to the product, but honestly I could kind of take it or leave it, but it's there. Something to notice between the new generational gap. Next, there's a bit of a lip on the front to kind of cover the grill and protect the grill. The grill actually sticks out over, whereas this one it's kind of set in. The grill is already kind of a protection component, so is it necessary? Whatever. I feel like the grill itself is there to protect the drivers though, so it may be unnecessary, but at the same time it's not really hurting anything, so it's kind of more of a design choice. It may help you keep the speaker's appearance intact, so I suppose I'm not really opposed to it, it's just something that you notice that is different. We also see the addition of the mic on the top here, which both the Willen generations had a microphone, but for some reason we did not see a microphone in the Emberton Gen 2. I'm surprised it wasn't in the Gen 2, but I'm glad that we see it now in the Gen 3. I do also want to note here that we've lost a colorway option. We don't see it represented here, but Gen 2 offered a chrome and black option in addition to the black on black and the cream option, but we don't see that anymore. We're going to the new model, we see a black on black and a cream option only. Now, appearance out of the way, let's talk about specs. Now, when we covered the Willen, this is where we saw some huge jumps. Some huge gaps in the Gen 1 versus the Gen 2, at least on the spec side. I wasn't as impressed with it once we listened to it, but that's another story. Will it be the same in the Emberton? Was this just a quick facelift to sell more products, or did we actually get something done when moving from Gen 2 to Gen 3? Let's see. First, let's talk about price, as it's going to play a huge factor in making your decision. The new gen adopted the previous gen's regular MSRP of $169 USD, which pushed the older gen on sale, kind of. in some places. Looking online on Marshall's website, Target, Best Buy, these are all showing the Gen 2 at the regular price of $169. Some of these places don't even carry the Gen 3. The only place I'm seeing a price drop on Gen 2 is on the Amazon website, which is showing $134.34, so a difference of $34.75 saved if you purchase the older Gen model on Amazon. Shop around, guys. I assume that the other retailers will adopt the lower price tier later, but I don't know. As of right now, as of making this video, this is all I'm seeing is that $169 for the old, $169 for the new. Unless, again, you purchase on Amazon. As for size, we have the new gen coming in at 6.3 inches by 2.7 inches by 3 inches, and the older gen showing 6.3 inches by 2.68 inches by 2.99 inches. As for weight, both are showing 1.5 pounds. Much like the Whelen, form factor difference is negligible enough to where I wouldn't have noticed a difference here had I not read it on the website. Next, frequency range, and this one is interesting. The Emberton 2 dropped down to 60 Hz, and the new Gen 3 shows that it goes down to 65 Hz on the low end, so we're actually losing some bottom end here. Now, this does not mean that our sound is going to suffer. With a retune, we may actually have better control of the drivers, or it could be worse. Until we listen, we won't really know. The Whelen went the other direction on this, and I was actually a little bit disappointed in the sound change. So we'll see when we actually get to the listening portion. Before we jump into the next category though, I did want to also share some deeper insight on what drives these speakers. While the drivers seem very similar in the new gen versus the old gen, where I see a huge difference is in the amplification. We're showing 2 by 10 watt Class D amps in the second gen, and similar to the Whelen, we've actually bumped this up to a 2 by 38 watt Class D amp in the second gen. I imagine there is a huge retuning involved here as well, and while we are showing a loss of 5 Hz on the low end, my hope is that we'll still get better and more controlled sound. Not only that, but we're also showing a 3 dB boost in the quoted SPL, going from 87 to 90 dB at 1 meter. So yeah, interesting if nothing else. It could be that we're going for better sound. It could also be that these changes are to improve battery life. Again, I keep saying this, but we'll have to wait for the listenings to know for sure. Next, let's talk about battery. Previous generation is showing 30 plus hours of playback time, and the new gen shows 32 plus hours of playback time. I'm seeing the drop in charge time with the version 2 taking 3 hours to fully charge compared to the new gen's 2 hours as well. Quick charge has also seen an improvement, with 20-minute charge providing 6 hours of playback time compared to the previous gen's 4 hours of playback time from 20 minutes of charging. So all around, some significant improvements on battery life. Next, let's move into Bluetooth. This is by far one of my favorite additions to the new gen. In almost all previous Marshall videos, JBL videos, you may remember me saying it has an older version of Bluetooth, but it'll likely have the same or better version of Bluetooth when the new gen comes out. Well, here we are, guys. New gen, latest version of Bluetooth. Older Emberton is using Bluetooth 5.1, and the new version is rocking Bluetooth 5.3. And not only is this an upgrade for transmission distance as well as quality, this is also going to integrate LE audio and Auracast capabilities. As I said before, this is pretty much where all speakers are going, guys. You'll notice at the Marshall site that there is no longer a mention of stack mode or connect mode or any of that. That's not because the capability to connect speakers is going away, it's because it's getting better. LE Audio and Auracast is making this a norm as opposed to a perk. And also in theory, it's not only to interconnect same branded speakers, but any speaker that's Auracast enabled. This, in theory, again, in theory, of course, is going to be a game changer for multicasting. I will note that the reason I keep saying in theory here is because we did have some issues in connecting the Whelen in the last video. So I'm hoping that we can iron out some of those issues in this video, but again, we'll see. All right, so that's all I have based on readings and spec research. Is it worth the upgrade from the previous gen, or if you don't have either and are looking to buy, is this worth the extra premium to have the latest model? Well, I've only researched so far. The true test has yet to come. I'm gonna head out and do some testing, and I'll be back with you guys shortly for my thoughts. See you soon. Okay, so I am back, and this was, well, in short, I'm not overly thrilled with this new generation for various reasons. It's still a solid speaker as a standalone product, and I hope it gets a firmware update in the future to improve this, but I don't know. Anyways, let's discuss and kind of elaborate here a bit. So first off, let's throw up our usual chart of our 4 usual categories of price, lifestyle, connectivity, and sound. Price, again, as mentioned before, is a weird one. On the Marshall website, they are the same price. On Target's website, they don't even have the new generation available. On Best Buy's site, they are right next to each other, top and bottom, and still showing the exact same cost. As of right now though, you can still pick one up on Amazon for a little bit cheaper, so I guess there. Maybe shop around. We also have Black Friday coming up, so depending on when you're watching this, of course, I assume you'll see a lot of these guys going on sale and being on a lot of people's sale lists over the next couple of months. So check that out as well. Otherwise, since I do see it cheaper somewhere, and we will likely see it go on sale more in the future, I'm gonna give the win to the old generation here. Now, lifestyle, as we kind of expected, is going to be a tie. Roughly the same size in both weight as well as dimensions, same waterproof rating, same look and feel for the most part, aside from losing one colorway. Gen 2 is very sturdy, and that has not changed in Gen 3. Everything being pretty much identical, we are still going to call this one a tie. Now, connectivity. I mentioned that I wasn't thrilled with the new gen, and here is the main reason why. So, the new gen is supposed to incorporate LE Audio and Auracast capabilities, making speaker linking kind of awesome. That's the hope anyways. With this new tech, you're supposed to be able to interconnect the same branded speakers, as well as, in theory, other branded speakers that may have this tech as well. So with this, the decision to remove stack mode from their speakers made sense, as it would no longer be needed. Again, in theory, cool, that's fine, that's what I thought. All that said, with the Willin, we had issues connecting it to the JBL clip. Hey, JBL only claims to work with JBL, so probably a JBL issue. Fast forward to the other day, after unboxing this guy, I figured it's gotta work with other Marshalls, correct? It does not. I cannot get it connect, so I must be doing something wrong. At this point, I've tried everything I can think of, so let's contact Marshall to get this sorted out before we release this video, because I wanna make sure that I'm giving you guys the correct information and not misleading anybody. So, here's my conversation with Marshall. Chat agent says, I'm afraid it is not possible to stack/connect the Emberton 3 and the Willin 2 with previous models or with each other. Okay, so I say, that's interesting. So the LE Audio feature is non-functional. Will they be able to connect in the future with an update, or is this something that they will not ever be able to do? To which they replied, at this time, yes. Which is funny, at this time, yes. It may be possible to connect the speakers, the newer models, with a future update. At this time, with a future update. But we do not have an estimated date as to when this update will occur. So I say, gotcha. When updated, in theory, will they be able to connect to other branded speakers that are LE Audio capable as well, or will it be limited to Marshall only? To which they replied, unfortunately, I don't have all the information, but they may be able to connect with other LE Audio capable speakers. The full details are confidential, so I cannot confirm for sure. So here we are, not only can they not connect with other branded speakers, not only can the new generation not connect with the older generation, but the new generation cannot talk to each other. The new generation can't connect to each other. This may not be a big deal to you guys, but I was super hyped about this capability, and I'm sorry guys for mistakenly possibly hyping you guys up about this capability as well. So it's kind of a big letdown to me. 2 to 3 feels like a big downgrade in this aspect, at least at the time being. My old Willin and my old Emberton still connect together just fine. Now, otherwise in connectivity, we do have mostly positive things to say, the usual things that generational gaps incorporated. I did like the addition of the power button more than I thought I would. You don't realize how much of an improvement this makes until you're going back and forth between the two. The press and hold on the joystick did work, but admittedly, it is a little bit clunky. The new gen of Bluetooth was welcome. Range was great on both. No issues with dropout at all. All in all, they were virtually the same independently, so the decision is primarily based on their linkability. Now, my prediction here is that there will be a firmware update in the future, and it'll at the very least connect with other Marshall products. Probably. My hope, though, is that there will also be a firmware update that will allow for connection to other brands and devices as well to really unlock the capabilities that we have here, but time will tell on that one. I can only speak about and recommend based on what we have here in hand today, not wishes for the future. So the winner here is going to be Gen 2. Now, with that bit of a rant over, let's go ahead and talk about our last category, which is sound. Starting in this room as usual, let's check out the pink noise test. As you can see, a bit of a difference here, but not huge. I'll actually throw up a quick clip where you guys can listen along here as well. Next, we did some listening in this room. Following that, we did our usual four-wheeler ride. I did attempt to increase the quality of this for you guys by switching to a better camera while riding, but unfortunately it had a ton of shake because, well, these types of cameras aren't made for that. So for future episodes, I'm gonna go back to the GoPro because that is kind of what the GoPro's for. So I'll switch back to that in future episodes. Here's some spots pulled over in the woods, some wide open nature, some near field, some at a distance while doing some outdoor chores. Here's some various size rooms, some bigger, some smaller. Now, where did we land with all of this? Cutting back to our charts here, we mentioned earlier that there is a 3 dB boost in SPL, but a loss of 5 Hz in our frequency range. How does this compare in real life scenarios though? Well, I actually liked what they did with the tuning here, and personally I found it to sound better on roughly 75% of the tracks that I listened to. The remaining 25 I would say was kind of a split, about 15% of them tied and 10% of the time we had Gen 2 take the win. We're not going to get 100% win on anything because tuning is different, songs are different, taste is different, and there is no perfect tuning for any speaker. Don't care what anybody says, no perfect tuning for any speaker. You just try and get as best as you can, and 75 to 15 to 10% split, I'd say is pretty solid. Also, the boost in power was pretty welcomed. I would say that Gen 3 at about 80% volume would be roughly a match for the Gen 2 at 70 to 75% volume. This did help in outdoor environments where we may need that extra boost. Not night and day, but it did help a little bit. So guys, in synopsis, which should you go with if you're trying to decide between the two models? Despite the fact that it looks super similar, are there enough changes in the new gen internally and tech-wise to suit your needs, or should you stick with the old model? Well, this one is going to be fairly situational, but honestly, I'm leaning more towards the Gen 2 as you guys may have noticed throughout this video. While this may change with a firmware update, I would say that the 2 is the overall winner of this episode. I'll throw up a new video if this thing gets a firmware update that increases its usability, but here is the breakdown. If you're looking for the cheapest possible option, the Gen 2 is cheaper on Amazon at the moment, and I imagine other companies will follow suit very shortly. Gen 2 is the way to go in that category. If you have a speaker with stack mode and you're looking to connect using that technology, or if you're buying more than one at the moment, again, Gen 2 is going to be your winner as the Gen 3 does not offer this capability at the moment. If you don't have a portable and you're looking to get this one as a standalone product, the latest gen is probably going to be your best bet as it has the latest Bluetooth, the improved battery life, slightly better sound, and can be pushed a little bit harder. All that said, more than ever guys, I do want to hear you guys' opinions on this. Is the loss of stack mode, the loss of connectability, a deal breaker for you? Have any of you tinkered with the new gen? What are you guys' thoughts? Talk to me guys, I want to hear your comments below, let me know what you think. Now, as per usual, following this episode, we are going to have a Here With Me segment where we put these guys side by side so you can listen along and kind of hear the results for yourself. So if you're looking for that standalone product and your decision is purely based on sound, hopefully that'll help you guys. Also, leave a comment below and let me know what speakers you'd like to see rematches for now that the new gen of Marshall portables have released. Should we throw it against the Nashville? Should we throw it against the JBL Flip? What do you guys want to see? Leave a comment below and let me know. That's about all I have for you guys today though. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you again soon for the next episode of Audio Inside Scoop.